Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Gavv Episode 5. So the episode begins with Shoma waking up to his great uncle Dente, and he is in disbelief, like, who are you, and whatnot, and he quickly transforms into a Kamen Rider. And his great uncle was like impressed for what he is looking at right now, and mentions to Shoma that, oh, the surgery is a success apparently, because look at it, because he was the one who modified his Gavv. And Shoma was in shock, like, wait a minute, you modify my Gavv? What surgery? Who the hell are you? Which leads his grand uncle to introduce himself. And Shoma is like, what? I have a great uncle? So we move off from the mini family reunion to the twins, where in this particular scene we get more information about who Dente Stomach is. But first, the twins are in disbelief from what happened last week. And the twins know about the enhancement surgery that was performed by their great uncle. And if they know about the surgery, chances are that their other siblings in the Stomach family knows about the surgery. Not only that, their great uncle was the one who created the human spice conversion system. And we know that their brother Knave it was one of his apprentices. So we have a boatload of information there. And speaking of siblings, brothers, Lango shows up, and he is upset with his twin sisters because they were not doing their job. And he told them, look at this file. You're not doing anything to produce our stock up or whatever, and since you're not performing your job that you wanted, I'm gonna give your role to one of my agents then. And the twins are like, no, there's no need to do that, brother dear, don't do that, come on now. Which leads to the conversation with Lango as to why he's after the rich. He is planning to use the dark treats that his great uncle created to rule the Ganutes. So now we know why he needs the rich. We all know by now that the dark treats are like, it's crack cocaine in candy form. And the moment a Ganute eats that candy, they become addicted to it to the point where they become dependent on it. It's a drug. To call it what it is, it's a drug. And so Lango wants to use these dark treats to lure in the rich for them to eat the dark treats, and therefore they become addicted to the dark treats, dependent on it, which leads to Lango stepping in and be like, okay, I will give you these candies in exchange for you guys to do my bidding and that sort of thing. So he wants to rule the Ganutes by the way of using the dark treats. So now we know his ultimate plan. And so we move on from there to that discovery to Hanto's boss. He gets a tip about an underground casino, and some bigwigs are going there, and he wants to take pictures and expose them, whatnot, and ask Hanto if he would like to join him on his mission. But before Hanto could say anything, he receives a call from Shanika, saying that, hey, there's another monster sighting. It's not the Kamen Rider, but there's a sighting nonetheless. So Hanto decides to go monster hunting, and the boss is like, okay, I understand, I get it. And he lets him go. And then we get into the next scene, the only scene with Professor Suga, and we all know what he's making in his laboratory right now. He's making the eventual device, driver, gun, whatever, for Hanto to use in the next episode. So there's no mystery behind what he is making. He is making making a device to turn Hanto into a Kamen Rider, so there's no mystery there. We move on from Professor Suga to a scene with an evil part-timer, Ganute, and he delivers his harvest to an agent, and the agent only gives him one dark treat. And this particular Ganyu was so disappointed, like, wait, what's going on? Like, I gave you a bundle full of harvests. Why am I only getting one? And the agent was like, well, we need, our production has went up and whatnot, so I can't give you any more than just one. And the Ganyu was disappointed. He was about to eat his dark treat, but decided, hey, I want to save it for a later occasion, but he wants to eat it now. And then we get to this mysterious Ganyu who meets up with this part-timer and tells him, hey, I can give you another one if you do something for me. And of course, this Ganyu was like, yeah, I will do it. I will do whatever you want for a dark treat. So that's how you know that this dark treat is nothing more than a drug. It's a drug. So after that scene, we get back to Shoma and his great uncle, and Dente now knows that Shoma's father is air quotes dead. The reason why I'm doing the air quotes here is because, Kamen Rider, we don't know if Shoma's dad is actually dead because we haven't seen a body. And even if he is indeed dead, Kamen Rider has a way of bringing a character back from the dead. It's always been done. It's like a soap opera. But we all know what happened to Shoma's mom. There's no way that she's going to be back from the dead. We saw her die. But with Shoma's dad, we don't know how he died or anything like that. So there's a strong possibility that he could have faked his own death, that he could be in hiding. We don't know yet, but for right now, he is dead. So he receives word that that the father is dead, and Shoma asks, "Okay, why are you here on Earth, and why did you help me since you're the one who created the dark treats? So why are you helping me since I'm trying to stop the creation of the dark treats, right?" Which leads to the reason why the surgery needed to be performed. Because the father asked Dente to perform it. He went to him. And since Shoma is half human, he cannot produce familiars or minions like regular Ganyuts can. And so it was the father who asked so that he can live. He can live a normal life. And I think after it was performed, Dente still didn't quite understand as to why he cannot produce any familiars after the surgery. So that caused him to go down to Earth and really do research on humanity because he is half human. However, he didn't return because he got addicted to the human treats and he decided to stay. So that's why he didn't come back, which leads to him realizing that, the missing key, the missing ingredient was for you, Shoma, to eat sweets and junk food and all that to produce your familiars. So now we know the key. But also, he could only produce familiars if he's eating sweets. If he eats like chicken, rice, vegetables, he cannot produce those. So only junk food and sweets and sour stuff can produce minions. And then Shoma refused to believe that his own father had his best interest in heart, because he tells his great uncle that his father treated him, especially his mother, like crap. And 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 he couldn't leave the house because he's been locked up with his mother for God knows how long. And yeah, like, he was treated like crap and locked up like Rapunzel. And Dente says, look, he did that to protect you guys because he knows that his other children did not like you guys at all, and he was afraid that his children will do something to them. That's why he had them locked up in his house. But whatever his intentions were at the time, that still is not right. He could have just at least let them live on Earth and have his agents, have a watchful eye on them and protect them that way. Because if you have them locked up the way they have, I mean, they were... it's bad. It's bad. But Dente was trying to persuade Shoma that no, that's not true. He loves you. He just had a funny way of showing it. But of course, Shoma does not believe his great uncle and believes that him, his father, his siblings are just selfish, and because of their selfishness, their lives were a living hell. And he ends up leaving the hideout, leaving his great uncle behind, and Dente was like running after him, like, wait, come back, don't leave, let me explain. But Shoma was already gone. So we go from the running away part to Hanto, and he rescues a gummy familiar from a net, and he decides to follow the gummy familiar to this part of a building, and he opens a window and spots the soldiers that were created by the twins. I missed that part, but these two soldiers, they were created by the twins, and they are on a mission, and they were collecting harvests so that they could be delivered to the Stomach family. And so Hanto and the gummy spies on them for a bit, and then we go back to Shoma, where he is upset, and he gets this flashback where Shoma looks outside the house and just wonders, hey, what's out there? Like, he wants to go outside and explore, but his mother was like, no, we can't do that. I don't know what's out there. Go to sleep. And so Shoma goes to sleep, but he hears his mother crying, which leads to this next scene where his father forcefully tries to take Shoma out to train with him, but of course Shoma doesn't want to go with him. His mother tried to stop Bosch, but she gets a back slap from him, and Shoma's like, why are you doing this? And Bosch just angrily leaves and just locks the door behind him, and the mom was crying and tells Shoma that, hey, we will find a way to escape, and we will live on Earth where I live, and we will live happily ever after away from these aliens. Which raises the question of how Shoma's mother and Bosch met. Was it an abduction, or was it that he fell in love with her? We don't know how they met and how she decided to end up living at his house and gets locked up and all that stuff. My guess could be a simple abduction. Maybe that's the reason why, but I don't know. Hopefully we'll get that answer soon. But for right now, it looks like Shoma's mom has been forced to live in his manor for a long time. And it wasn't pretty. So we move on from the flashback to a kid crying because his toy was like in was I don't know, like you seen the scene, right? So I don't really need to explain why the kid was crying, but the toy was in a place where no human hand can be reached, and the mother is telling her son that I cannot lift this metal part because it's too heavy and I can't get to it. And the kid is crying, and Shoma comes in and rescues the toy, gives it back to the kid, and we have our mini happy ending there. And this is where Shoma gets his resolve now that, hey, I realized something. It's that how you say, let me look at my notes just in case, because I want to say it correctly. The reason why the Ghanaians are after the humans is because of their flavor, their spice of happiness. Because he realizes that the people being happy isn't the problem. It's the Ghanaians who are using their happiness to make their flavoring to create the dark treats. And with that realization, he decides that he will continue what he was doing since the beginning, which is trying to make people happy and protect his mother's world, because he likes it here as well. So it makes sense. So he gets hungry. He gets this potato, this chip bag that he got from his great uncle. He eats one of them, and he produces a spicy chip familiar and tells it that, hey, we have work to do. Let's make people happy and whatnot. And the gummy familiar spots Shoma, tells him what's going on, and Shoma goes to the source of the problem. And this is where it leads back to Hanto. He sees the agents leaving, and he thought, in order to buy time, he thought that throwing a rock will solve that problem. But it turns out that it was the stupid decision that he made. He got spotted. He nearly got shot, and he was pushed to a wall. He got knocked out for a bit, and then he almost got killed. And then Shoma luckily shows up at the nick of time, protects Hanto, and fights the two agents. And Hanto comes to quickly. He spots the Kamen Rider, but before he does anything like take pictures and whatnot, he decided to go back to the room and rescue the humans that were trapped in their form of harvest inside their briefcases. And of course, he doesn't know what to do because he has them in their hands, but he just doesn't know, okay, how will I undo this? So as he's trying to figure it out, we get to the fight scene between the two agents and Shoma transforms into his chip form. And then with the combination of the spicy chip familiar that he created, he destroys one of the agents with fiery intent. So he destroys one while the other agent escapes. And then we go back to Hanto again, trying to tear out the red tape or red licorice, whatever. And Shoma stops him at the nick of time, telling him, hey, if you do it the wrong way, that human in your hand is going to get killed. So let me be the one to break the spell. And Hanto's like, oh, okay, take him. And he is witnessing how Shoma does it. He cuts the rope with his sword. We see the spell getting undone, and this whole group of people see Shoma as a monster. And luckily, Hanto was there to tell him, hey, you shouldn't be calling him a monster. He's the one who rescued you. The least you can do is thank him. And Shoma thanks Hanto for saying that and whatnot, because God only knows that every time he saves a human, he gets yelled at, by calling him a monster, and he just gets all sad and leaves. This time, it wasn't the case, thanks to Hanto. So Hanto returns to Shanika, pays her, and gets a receipt and leaves. And as he leaves, he sees Shoma and says hi. And Shoma's like, oh, hi, all nervously. And as he leaves, and Shoma's like, whew, I'm glad he doesn't recognize me. I'm like, Shoma, you were in the suit. I don't remember Hanto seeing you as you. So chill, man, chill. So as Hanto was going out, Shoma goes in, meets with Shanika, and Shanika gives him an earful for what happened in episode 2 for leaving without saying goodbye. And Shoma was like pleading to her, hey, let me stay here with you. Let me, I want to live just like you. I want to make people happy. Please let me stay here. And Shanika, of course, says yes. And therefore, Shoma is living with her. I find it to be sad because I did enjoy Shoma appearing to town, city by city, and just help people that way. Reminds me a whole lot of Xena and Hercules that way. And now that it's been decided that Shoma is going to stay with her, then it's like, oh man, I'm going to miss, Shoma traveling throughout Tokyo or past Tokyo and just help people that way. But it is what it is, whatnot. So now that Shoma is going to stay with Sachika, we move on to the last scene of this episode where Hanto's boss gets kidnapped by the same evil Ganyu that we saw in earlier scenes. So he gets kidnapped, and that's the end of this episode, guys. And I mean, I have to admit, this episode had a boatload of information, family reunions, and now that Shoma has decided to stay with Sachika, and he will continue on his path of protecting people and making people happy and whatnot. I mean, what more can you ask for? As we all know, only the twins, Nave, knows that their younger brother is alive. Lango, he can care less if he was alive or not. His mission right now is to get the rich addicted to his dark treats so that he can rule the Ganyuts, and maybe possibly lead them to an invasion of Earth. I don't know. We don't know exactly what happened to Shoma's father. Is he actually dead, or is he alive somewhere? We haven't seen the body. So we all know what happened to Shoma's mom. We saw what happened to her. But when it comes to Shoma's father, we don't know. Right now, he is quote-unquote dead. And next week, we're going to see Hanto transform into a Kamen Rider. So, yeah, I look forward to that. In any case, tell me your thoughts and opinions about episode 5. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And if so, what would you change? I already said that, I'm going to miss Shoma going from town to town and helping people that way. But, it is what it is there. Give a like if you like it and please subscribe. And I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!